"If you're so smart, then translate this," mocked the arrogant millionaire CEO. What he didn't expect was to leave the restaurant in silence. In the heart of the city's most luxurious restaurant, Letitia, a young black waitress, moves. With grace and professionalism, she's overlooked, underestimated, until she serves Edward Santoro, a wealthy CEO known for his arrogance and sharp tongue. During a loud conversation with foreign executives, Edward drops a document in German. Letitia, politely handing it back, quietly says, "There's a clause error in the third line." The table goes silent. Edward, feeling challenged, smirks. "If you're so smart, then translate it." Letitia takes a breath and translates flawlessly, then switches to French. And finally, some basic Mandarin. But the real shock comes after. Letitia reveals she holds 3 university degrees, speaks 5 languages, and works as a waitress to care for her sick mother. The arrogance in the room turns into awe, and Edward, for once, has no words. That night, the restaurant didn't witness just another business dinner, but a powerful lesson in humility, hidden talent, and human dignity. Now, Letitia faces a choice: accept Edward's unexpected offer for an executive role, or walk away from those who only saw her worth when it served their interests. Asterisk. The Language of Talent, Chapter 1, The Gilded Stage, and the Invisible Waitress. Though the city's most luxurious restaurant was a gilded stage, crystal chandeliers sparkled over impeccable tables, the soft clinking of silver cutlery and the murmur of elite voices filled the air. Amidst this opulent setting, Letitia, a young black waitress with impeccable posture, moved with the discretion of someone who understood her place in the social hierarchy. Her attentive eyes scanned every movement of the demanding customers, anticipating their orders, offering a gentle smile that was rarely returned. For most, Letitia was just a uniform, a functional part of the impeccable service, invisible in her dedication. What no one in that universe of expensive wines and haughty conversations knew was that Letitia hid an impressive talent. She spoke 5 languages fluently, a gift cultivated through late-night studies and conversations with tourists who visited her neighborhood. Her dream of using her intelligence for something greater had been postponed by life, which forced her to drop out of college to care for her sick mother and later raise her to younger siblings alone. The restaurant was her livelihood, not her destiny, despite her discretion. Letitia's intelligence was a brilliance few perceived. She understood not only customers' orders, but the nuances of their conversations, the secrets whispered in different languages, the veiled agreements. She saw the arrogance behind fake smiles, the loneliness behind empty luxury. She served with dignity, her soul intact, while dreaming of a day when her true worth would be recognized. What she didn't know was that on that busy night, her path was about to cross that of a man who would spectacularly underestimate her, and in doing so, trigger an unimaginable twist. Chapter 2. The Millionaire's Disdain and the Clause That Breaks. The silence the night at the restaurant was reaching its climax. With tables full and the aroma of sophisticated dishes wafting through the air, Eduardo Santoro, a millionaire CEO known for both his arrogance and his fortune, was the center of attention at a VIP table. Surrounded by foreign executives, he led a lively conversation, blending languages with a fluency he believed placed him above others. For Eduardo, power was measured in billions, in intelligence, in elite university degrees. Letitia's presence, the waitress who served him with discretion, was merely a detail in the tapestry of his success. During the conversation, Eduardo, with a careless gesture, accidentally dropped a document in technical German. A complex contract, full of legal jargon and impenetrable acronyms for most. Letitia, with her usual speed and discretion, bent down to pick up the paper. As she handed it back, her eyes, trained to observe, caught a phrase, an error. With a naturalness that made her seem oblivious to her own genius, she commented, her voice soft but clear, "Your contract has a clause error on the third line." Laughter at Eduardo's table froze. The foreign executives exchanged surprised glances. Eduardo, feeling challenged on his own stage, turned to Letitia, a sarcastic smile distorting his lips. Well, well, he sneered, his voice laden with disdain. The waitress is a lawyer now? If you're so smart, then translate this. He extended the document, pointing to the line in question, expecting confusion, shame, proof that she was just a woman of the people who dared to presume. The restaurant fell silent. All eyes, previously on their plates, were now fixed on Letitia, awaiting her downfall. Chapter 3. The Language of Shock and the Exposed Sol Eduardo. Santoro's challenge silenced the restaurant. The tension was palpable, the air heavy with the expectation of imminent humiliation. Letitia, at the center of all eyes, took a deep breath, not to retreat, but to gather the calm that discipline and humility had taught her. Her eyes met Eduardo's, and there he saw not fear, but a silent determination. She took the document. Her voice, once soft, now resonated through the restaurant, clear and impeccable. Letitia translated, word for word, in fluent German. Every technical term, every legal nuance, was deciphered with a precision that made the German executives at the VIP table widen their eyes in shock. The laughter vanished. The murmurs ceased. Eduardo Santoro paled, his arrogance crumbling before this display of intellect. But Letitia didn't stop. One of the astonished executives ventured a question in French. Letitia responded with the same fluency. And finally, when a third executive, even more shocked, attempted some basic Mandarin, Letitia replied with the same ease, showing a command that went beyond the superficial. Everyone in the restaurant, from the waitstaff to the wealthiest customers, was in shock. But what truly impressed wasn't just her intelligence or her multilingual ability. It was what she revealed next. With a still, calm voice, Letitia told her story. She had 3 university degrees, hidden by a hard life, had graduated in literature, law, international relations, but worked there not out of a lack of ability, but out of necessity, while caring for her sick mother and trying to support her to younger siblings. Her ambition to be a diplomat, to use her languages to connect to the world, had been silenced by circumstances. But her talent, never. Humiliation turned into reverence. And Eduardo Santoro, for the first time in a long time, was speechless, his arrogance broken by simple truth. That night, the restaurant was not the setting for a business dinner, but for a lesson on prejudice, empathy, and the invisible talent that society, at times, ignores. A humble waitress shocked a millionaire CEO with her secret talent. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next chapters of this inspiring saga of triumph, intelligence, and social justice. Hit like if you're also impressed by Letitia's talents and want to see Eduardo Santoro's transformation. Share this video so more people can dive into this powerful tale of prejudice, empathy, and the value of invisible talent. Comment below. What do you think Eduardo Santoro will do with this lesson? Will Letitia accept an executive position? The Language of Talent, Chapter 4. The Unexpected. Invitation and the battle for purpose, the shock in the restaurant was just the beginning. Eduardo Santoro, the millionaire CEO, had been unmasked by Letitia's intelligence, the polyglot waitress. As he left the premises, the press was already waiting, eager for details of the scandal. But the story had already gone viral, and Letitia's image was becoming a global symbol of invisible talent. Ricardo Lacerda, if the connection to other scripts is active, the CEO who had found redemption by recognizing the value in a cleaning? Lady observed from afar, recognizing the same spark of humanity in Eduardo. The next day, Letitia's phone wouldn't stop ringing. Dozens of newspapers, TV stations, and social media sought her out for interviews. She, who had always worked in the shadows, found herself in the spotlight. But what truly surprised her wasn't the fame, but an invitation. An invitation from Eduardo Santoro. He didn't seek her out to cover up the case. He summoned her to a meeting at the company headquarters, in the very meeting room she used to clean. Letitia, with her characteristic dignity, accepted, sensing that this encounter would be more than just a reckoning. It would be a clash of worlds. At the meeting in front of the same executives who had ignored her, Eduardo made a request that shocked everyone. It's not a generic apology, but a proposal that would change Letitia's life forever. He invited her to take on an executive position in the company itself, as head of the international communications department with a Millionaire. Salary, travel, and decision-making power. Talent doesn't choose a title, he repeated, his words echoing Ricardo Lacerda's own redemption. The room fell silent. Keisha, who worked out of necessity, found herself faced with the chance to use her gifts for a greater purpose, but also with a dilemma: accept and return to a world that despised her, or refuse and follow her own path. Far from those who only saw her when it was convenient. Chapter: The Shadow of the Past and the Price of the Choice. Eduardo Santoro's proposal plunged Letitia into a whirlwind of emotions. The executive position was the recognition she had always dreamed of, the chance to use her talents to change the world, to ensure her sick mother received the best treatment and that her siblings had a bright future. But the offer came from the man who had humiliated her, and from a system she knew to be elitist and often cruel. Remembered the years of struggle, the prejudice, the postponed dreams, as Letitia weighed her decision. Her mother, Donna Rosa, a black woman of unwavering faith and fragile health, noticed her daughter's unease. With the wisdom life had given her, Donna Rosa advised her to follow her heart, not to let pride or the past prevent her from reaching her true potential, but without forgetting her roots in humility. Letitia's mother, who had sacrificed herself for her children, was her pillar, her inspiration for good. Letitia's doubt was amplified by a voice from the past. A former college professor, Dr. Sophia, a white woman who had tried to help her continue her studies, and who, in another script, could be the mother of Davi. The young man who saves the millionaire reached out to her. Dr. Sophia had followed Letitia's story in the media and warned her about the dangers of integrating into a system not truly ready for change. She spoke of structural racism, ingrained elitism, and the difficulty of changing a corporate culture from the inside out. Letitia's choice was not just personal. It was a symbol, a beacon for millions of invisible people who were watching her. Chapter 6: The Soul's Answer and the Light of New Leadership. Letitia's dilemma. Between Eduardo Santoro's tempting offer and her former professor's warnings, consumed her. She sought advice from Father Benedito, a community leader who had known her since childhood and had always supported her struggles. If the connection to other scripts is maintained, Father Benedito listened patiently, his eyes reflecting the wisdom of one who knows the human soul. He reminded her that true power lies not in positions or money, but in the ability to use one's gifts for good, to inspire and transform lives. He encouraged her to follow the path her heart indicated, but not to forget where she came from. Letitia's decision was made with her soul, not with ambition. She accepted the executive position at Eduardo Santoro's company, but her acceptance came with conditions. She would not accept the position just for herself. She demanded the creation of an inclusion program for youth from the periphery, ensuring that other invisible talents had the opportunity she almost didn't have. She also requested that the company invest in social projects in her community, and that Donna Rosa, her mother, receive the best treatment and care. The company, accustomed to giving orders, now accepted the conditions of its new leader. News that Letitia had accepted the position shocked the country again. The press divided between those who saw her as a hero and those who considered her a sellout covered every step. But Letitia's story wasn't about positions. It was about the voice no one would silence. On her first day as department head, Letitia introduced herself to the team with an emotional speech. She didn't talk about numbers or profits, but about the importance of diversity, empathy, and building an environment where everyone felt valued. She promised that the company would become a model, a beacon for talent, regardless of its origin. The restaurant that was once the stage for her humiliation would now be a symbol of her ascent and the lesson that prejudice at times offers. Letitia has accepted the challenge. She's going to turn the tables in the corporate world. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next chapters of this inspiring saga of leadership, inclusion, and the fight against prejudice. Hit like if you also believe Letitia will transform the company and inspire millions. Share this video so more people can dive into this powerful tale of empowerment and social justice. Comment below. What do you think of Letitia's choice? Will she manage to change the company's elitist culture? The Language of Talent, Chapter 7. The Soul's Answer and the Dissolving. Thread of envy. Letitia's ascent and her bold acceptance of the executive position echoed throughout Eduardo Santoro's company. On the office floor, Letitia's former colleagues viewed her with a mix of admiration and pride. But on the executive floor, the previously latent envy began to dissolve in the face of her undeniable competence. Letitia not only mastered languages, she brought an empathy and vision no one else possessed. She reorganized the international department, optimized processes, and, most importantly, humanized relationships. Showing that effective communication went beyond words, touching hearts. Dr. Eduardo Campos, the executive who had tried to bring down Clara from a previous script, if the connection is active, and who saw Swaley, the cleaning lady CEO, from another script as a threat to the meritocracy he so valued, observed Letitia with growing curiosity. He who had once scoffed at the idea of talent without a degree found himself confronted by a reality that challenged all his beliefs. The envy he felt for Letitia began to transform into a strange respect, a recognition of raw talent that defied his categories. He didn't fully understand it yet, but Letitia's presence forced him to question his own prejudices. Letitia's story. The polyglot waitress who became an executive went viral beyond Brazil's borders, making her a global symbol that talent doesn't choose a title. Women and young people in disadvantaged communities worldwide saw her as a hero. Living proof that education and perseverance could break invisible barriers, Letitia, who once felt silenced, now had a voice that echoed in millions of hearts. And she used every opportunity to speak about the importance of inclusion, dignity, and never giving up on dreams, no matter how distant they seemed. Chapter 8. The Bridge of Knowledge and the Scars of Exposure, with Letitia's credibility firmly established. The International Communications Department at Eduardo Santoro's company flourished under her leadership. She didn't just master languages. She understood cultures, nuances, and people's souls. International negotiations that had been stalled now flowed with impressive ease. Letitia implemented cultural exchange programs within the company, encouraging diversity and new language learning. Breaking down internal and external barriers, her office, once a discreet cubicle, became a learning hub where she shared her knowledge with the team, building bridges where there had once been only communication walls. However, Letitia's rise brought to light not only the recognition of her talent, but also the scars of her past. Fame put her in the spotlight, and her life story, her sick mother. Raising her siblings alone, abandoned dreams became public. The media, which once ignored her existence, now delved into every detail, seeking the dramatic narrative. Letitia felt the weight of this exposure but used her platform to give voice to millions of other women, mothers, and invisible talents. She spoke about the importance of education, resilience, the need to support women in vulnerable situations. In one of her lectures, a woman in the audience, with tear-filled eyes, sought her out afterward. It was her former college professor, Dr. Sophia, who had once tried to help her continue her studies and who, in another script, is the mother of Davi, the young man who saves the millionaire. Dr. Sophia had followed Letitia's story in the media and reminded her of the sacrifices, sleepless nights, and Letitia's determination never to give up. She also mentioned the prejudice Letitia faced, the judgmental glances on the periphery, the social invisibility. That reunion was a mirror for Letitia, showing her how far she had come and the price she paid for her dreams. The inspiration she is now radiated was the fruit of deep pain and unwavering resilience. Chapter 9. The meeting of pain and the face of hope. Letitia's story and her message of triumph resonated deeply. Her ability to transform pain into inspiration and prejudice into a springboard for success was a living testament to the company and to the world. Ricardo Lacerda, the CEO, who once recognized the talent of a cleaning lady, watched her transformation with admiration. He realized that Letitia wasn't just a brilliant employee. She was the soul of the company, the embodiment of the values he now sought to embody: dignity, inclusion, and the recognition of human worth above all else. At the height of her influence, Letitia decided to use her platform for a personal project, creating a mentorship program for young talents from marginalized communities. She wanted to give others the opportunity she almost didn't have. On visit to a community center on the outskirts, she came across a scene that deeply affected her. A boy about 10 years old, with lost eyes and dirty clothes, was sitting alone in a corner, drawing on the ground. He reminded her of her own siblings when they were small, of the innocence stolen by poverty. Letitia approached the boy. His name was Joe. He had recently lost his mother and lived with a sick aunt. He was a natural talent for drawing, but lacked resources or hope. Letitia felt an immediate connection. She saw in Joe herself the unfulfilled dream, the compassion she had cultivated. She invited him to be part of her mentorship program, promising him all the opportunities she hadn't had. Joe's face, which had once been filled with despair, now lit up with a spark of hope. Letitia wasn't just healing her own scars. She was saving a soul and, in doing so, rediscovering the beauty of forgiveness and compassion. Chapter 10. The Legacy of the Unexpected Genius and the Echoing Question. The Letitia Foundation, the voice that inspires. Created with Eduardo Santoro's support, became a beacon of hope. Money, once a symbol of power and exclusion, was now an instrument of transformation. Letitia's mentorship program grew exponentially, revealing brilliant talents in marginalized communities who otherwise would never have been seen. Joe, the boy Letitia found drawing on the ground, flourished under her tutelage, becoming a promising young artist, his art a testament to the power of hope and second chances. Letitia's story went viral worldwide. She became an icon, inspiring millions of women and young people not to give up on their dreams, to fight against prejudice, and to seek dignity in every step. Eduardo Santoro's company, once synonymous with arrogance, was now a model of diversity and inclusion, its transformation an example for the corporate world. Eduardo and Letitia, the CEO and the waitress. The man and the woman once separated by prejudice were now inseparable partners in a larger mission, proving that talent doesn't choose race, gender, or position. In the end, Letitia's story of her unexpected rise and global impact forced the world to a final question that echoed in every mind. How many Letitias does the world still ignore? How many brilliant talents are hidden under cloaks of invisibility, waiting for a chance, for a glance, for someone to believe in them? Letitia's story wasn't just a tragedy transformed into a miracle. It was a call to action, an invitation for each of us to look beyond appearances and seek the true richness that exists in every human being. Letitia's journey has inspired the world. But the final question still echoes. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next chapters of this saga of talent, triumph, and a legacy that transforms lives. Hit like if you're also inspired by Letitia's story and believe that talent doesn't choose a title. Share this video so more people can be challenged to see the Letitia around them and fight against prejudice. Comment below. What's the biggest lesson Letitia's story brought to your life? You believe the world is learning to see the Letitia around it? The Language of Talent. Chapter 11. The New Wealth and the Legacy that Blossoms with. The company rebuilt and her identity publicly solidified. The Letitia Foundation, the voice that inspires. Led by Letitia and with Eduardo Santoro's unconditional support, flourished, becoming a beacon of hope and a model of social transformation. Letitia, who had shed her old life to save her legacy, discovered a new wealth, that of seeing real impact in lives that would otherwise be invisible to her. Money, once a symbol of power and exclusion in her family, was now an instrument of transformation. Letitia dedicated every ounce of her energy to the foundation, working side by side with Donna Rosa, her mother, who brought the wisdom of resilience and the perspective of one who had lived a hard life. The foundation was not merely a mentorship program. It was a grassroots movement, powered by volunteers from the periphery and by Letitia's former students who were now successful professionals. She traveled across the country, seeking out stories, offering opportunities, and building bridges. Where there had once been walls of prejudice and hopelessness, Joe Bo, the boy Letitia, found drawing on the ground the same Joe who was mentored by Clara in the unexpected genius script, flourished under Letitia's and other Foundation leaders' mentorship. He became a renowned young artist, his works a testament to the power of second chances. His art depicting the beauty and resilience of these communities was exhibited in international galleries, and he used his platform to champion the Foundation's cause. Letitia's legacy, planted with pain, bloomed into thousands of new dreams. Chapter 12. The Voice of the Invisible and the Reunion with Forgiveness. The Letitia Foundation, the voice that inspires, grew exponentially, expanding its operations across Brazil and beyond its borders. Letitia, with her intelligence and her newfound voice, became a global leader, speaking at international forums, inspiring youth, and challenging governments and corporations to rethink their practices. She spoke about the importance of racial equity, inclusion, and recognizing talent everywhere, regardless of skin color or social class. In the process, Letitia dedicated part of her time to reconnect with the victims of Eduardo's company's former management and, when possible, the victims of other companies involved in corruption if the connection with other scripts is maintained. She sought out the parents of Lara, the young woman whose startup project was stolen, and Mariana's family, the woman who suffered abandonment if the connection is active. Letitia, with humility, offered not just financial support from the Foundation, but her listening ear and her empathy. She witnessed pain, anger, but also the surprising capacity for forgiveness. David, the young engineer whose project was destroyed, and Mariana herself became partners with the Foundation, using their experiences to guide others. The most touching reunion was with Felipe, the former aggressor from the honor where least expected script. He, having been abandoned by his own family, was now working in a community garden, seeking his own redemption. Letitia visited him. There were no words of accusation, just a look of understanding. Felipe, tears in his eyes, thanked Letitia for being the mirror that made him see his mistakes. The Foundation offered him an opportunity to rebuild himself, to use his skills for good. Forgiveness, Letitia realized, wasn't about forgetting, but transforming pain into a new path. A legacy of compassion that conquered hatred. Chapter 13. The Tribunal of the Soul and the Final Reckoning. Letitia's story and the downfall of Eduardo's company's former management and, by extension, that of Ricardo Dantas. If the connection between scripts is maintained, brought forth the need for a final reckoning with the past. Eduardo Santoro, the CEO who had redeemed himself, supported Letitia in an unprecedented initiative, the creation of a Tribunal of Honor, a public and transparent forum led by the Letitia Foundation, the voice that inspires. Its goal was to give a voice to all victims of corporate and racial injustices who, for years, had been silenced. It wasn't a legal court, but a moral one, where stories were heard and truth was celebrated. In this symbolic tribunal, Jonas, the wise homeless man whose talent was stolen by Dantas Tech, and who is now a Foundation advisor, finally told his complete story to the world. He revealed the details of the crime, the manipulation, the pain of being silenced, and the freedom he found on the streets. Beside him, Lionel, the boy who collected cardboard and was now a young community leader, testified to the resilience of the invisible ones and the strength of the new era of justice. The stories, however painful, were a balm, a cry of liberation. Letitia's mother, Dona Rosa, who had supported her through the toughest times, and Father Benedito, who had known her since childhood, watched with pride. Letitia's family, once marked by loss and prejudice, was now a symbol of strength and redemption. The Tribunal of the Soul, where the power of money had no voice, revealed that honor, compassion, and truth were the greatest currencies. Letitia, the woman who was once invisible, was now the judge of dignity, and her voice, a beacon of justice for millions. Chapter 14. The Legacy Beyond Fortune and the Eternal Question. Years passed. Letitia, now a mature woman with wisdom in her eyes, continued to lead the Letitia Foundation, the voice that inspires. Her story, from a life of struggles to global leadership, inspired generations. Eduardo Santoro, now elderly, but with his soul at peace, remained by her side, her mentor and most loyal friend. An example that redemption is possible for all. The foundation became a global movement, transforming lives and inspiring social justice. Orphanages, support centers, educational programs, everything flourished, giving voice to the invisible ones and ensuring no talent was silenced again. Joe, the boy artist, became one of the most renowned artists of his generation, using his art to denounce injustices, and David, the engineer, led social technology projects that benefited entire communities. The story ends with Letitia, now elderly, sitting on a park bench, observing the city. The bustling sounds around her, the hurried people, the imposing skyscrapers, everything was different, yet, at the same time, the same. She smiled, her gaze distant but filled with a deep peace. The question that once echoed in her soul still hangs in the air. It's a reflection for all of us. How many Letitias does the world still ignore? How many brilliant talents are hidden under cloaks of invisibility, waiting for a chance, for a glance, for someone to believe in them? Her story is not an end, but a beginning, an invitation for each of us to look beyond appearances and seek the true richness that exists in every human being. Chapter 15. The infinite echo of Dignity. Letitia's life didn't end on the park bench. Her legacy became eternal. The Letitia Foundation, the voice that inspires, grew exponentially, transforming into a global organization with impact on every continent. Letitia's vision of a world where talent flourishes regardless of circumstances took root in countless lives. Joe, the artist, and Lionel, the community leader, joined other talents revealed by the foundation, creating a global network of artists, activists, and innovators who used art, technology, and voice to denounce injustices and promote inclusion. Eduardo Santoro, even after his passing, left a legacy of humility and service, and the foundation kept alive the memory of his transformation. A testament that redemption is possible for all. His story, alongside Letitia's, became a case study in business schools and in seminars on ethics and leadership, inspiring a new generation of leaders who value human beings above profit. The final scene of the script is a sunrise over a large city. It is not the same cold and indifferent city from the beginning. Now, instead of luxury cars and arrogant corporate buildings, one sees the construction of new community centers. It's the revitalization of forgotten neighborhoods and young people of all ethnicities walking side by side to school. The sun rises, illuminating faces, and a voice-over echoes. Perhaps the voice of an older Letitia, or one of her grandchildren from the foundation. The world is an equation we are learning to solve, no longer with fear, but with honor. Longer with contempt, but with dignity. No longer in silence, but with everyone's voice. Letitia's phrase, "Talent doesn't choose a title," is no longer an accusation, but a song of hope. A constant reminder that dignity and talent reside on every corner, waiting only for a glance, a chance, a voice to recognize them. Letitia's story is an infinite legacy, testament to the transformative power of a simple act of recognition. We've reached the end of this emotional journey of justice and empowerment. If Letitia's story has moved you, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our inspiring stories of triumph and the power of purpose. Hit the like button if you believe that talent doesn't choose race or social status, and that justice always prevails. Share this video to spread this powerful message of inclusion, diversity, and the fight for a more just world. Comment below. What's the biggest lesson Letitia's story brought to your life? Do you believe the world is learning to see the Letitia around it?